welcome back to Building HVAC Science Podcast. You probably know what we're all about here. We try to create more knowledgeable HVAC and building performance technicians by helping the two professions better understand each other, work together, and make customers happy in the homes and buildings they live and work in. This episode, Eric and I get to speak with Jake Yurek, who's the co-founder of Pearl Edison. And that's a platform designed to simplify installation of energy-efficient systems for homeowners by working with contractors. This approach aims to reduce customer acquisition costs for contractors while improving the decision-making process for homeowners. Pearl Edison's got a unique value proposition, acting as an intermediary to guide homeowners to the right system and the right design before involving contractors. This approach focuses on maintaining high-quality standards by utilizing BPI-certified experts for home assessments. They conduct blower tests. They leverage robust data and analytics to provide personalized system recommendations with eyeballs on site. Pearl Edison's business model includes partnering with utilities and local governments who endeavor to execute these programs. And it has strategic expansion plans with a commitment to build trust and comfort with the homeowners. There's a couple links in the bio, a couple links in the show notes. One of them is to Jake's bio, and the other is to the Pearl Edison website. We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode on Revolutionizing HVAC, how Pearl Edison bridges homeowners and contractors.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Building HVAC Science Podcast. I'm Eric Kaiser. Mr. Bill Spohn is way over there somewhere out in virtual land. And we got a special guest with us today, Mr. Jake Yurek, all the way from Michigan, and you are the founder of Pearl Edison. Am I correct on that, Jake?
Correct. Co-founder.
Co-founder.
My co-founder, Evan, and I started this business a couple years ago. So two of us were brave enough to make the launch.
Oh, welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
What is Pearl Edison? And then also, where did you come up with the name?
It's a great question. So Pearl Edison is a platform that tries to make it easier for homeowners and contractors to install energy efficient systems. And what we do with our platform is white label it for partners, organizations that already have existing homeowner trust or authority on the topics of energy efficiency. And so you can think of examples like an electric utility or a city government. Our goal is to help those entities that homeowners already go to for advice on these projects play a greater role in home services. And today we're focused on HVAC. When we came up with this business, I'd say the first name that we had was Pearl Street. And that was because Thomas Edison's first power station was on Pearl Street in New York. But we decided to make the name a little more unique because I think others had the same idea and went with Pearl Edison.
Where do you get the knowledge frame of reference to be able to create these programs?
When we started this business, we noticed that for many homeowners, it can be confusing to figure out what the right energy efficient system is to buy for your home. There's a lot of options. If you get quotes, oftentimes it's for different scopes of work. And if you're not knowledgeable on HVAC, for example, it's hard to decipher what's what. When we dove into that problem, we realized that this is actually a problem for contractors as well, because there's so much time and effort goes into qualifying projects. You might get a phone call. You might answer a bunch of homeowner questions. You might schedule a time to roll a truck to their house and do a novel system design. You spend a bunch of time on education. And then at the end of the day, the homeowner says no thanks. And so we said, maybe there's a way that we can play a greater role with the homeowners up front, try to get them to the right system design, and then only get the contractors involved when the system is ready to be installed to save their time and reduce the cost of customer acquisition.
So that would be like an intermediary of sorts?
Exactly. And we looked across different industries and said, there's many things, call it in real estate development. Somebody does the design, the plans for a house or a building, and then you get a construction firm to come in and build it. And so in many ways, we're trying to do all the upfront work and just allow the contractor to do what they do best. And that's actually install the system.
What's your experience that led you to this point to decide to start this business? What struck the chord that said, this is what we do where we operate?
I'm a mechanical engineer by background.
Oh, welcome. High five.
High five. But prior to starting this business, I was a commercial solar developer. And so we were doing projects all across the United States. I'd say that what that was good for me was one, understanding all the effort that it takes with commercial building owners or commercial business owners in terms of deciding what energy efficient system to purchase. And a lot of that's applicable to residential, but we were also managing the scope of the work from start to finish. And so I had a good lens into what would make contractors or construction firms happy that we were working with and what was really painful for them in terms of getting projects done. And so when I teamed up with Evan, who's done more in the software world, we said, I think this is an approach that could help solve it for many in the residential space.
Does anything pull from that experience or other experience in your background? I noticed in your LinkedIn business intelligence is in there. So is this something where you draw on data or use data summaries or comparisons to improve things continuously?
That's a great call out. I'd say what our goal is with homeowners is to get them good information quickly. And so when a homeowner comes to our platform, they spend about 3 minutes answering questions about their home. It should be a very easy question to answer. You would never have to leave your seat, and with TurboTax-like flow, if you've ever used that. And what we do is combine that with a bunch of property data and other publicly available information like weather data to start to play forward to that homeowner what the right system design might be for their unique home. What a system design might look like, what it might cost, how much it might save them or cost them and their utility bills on a monthly or annual basis, what their climate impact might be, and what rebates and incentives are available to them. Our goal there is just to say, hey, we can give some general information pretty quickly that's specific to this homeowner that will help them make a decision.
Got it.
We obviously use a lot of modeling and data to do that, but I want to make the point that we never bet system design for expensive home retrofit HVAC system design on just the software. Our goal really is to get a human expert to that house and just make sure that if they're going to spend time in that house, that the homeowner is already interested enough that it's not going to be wasted. And so in many ways, what we're trying to do with our software is leverage the time of an expert more efficiently, because honestly, there's not enough of them in the United States to get all these systems installed the right way.
What's the status of the business now? Like, when did it start? When have you started to get traction with actual customers or alpha, beta testers, and anything coming out that's going to change the acceleration of your business?
We started the business in the end of 2023. And at that point, we were focused on developing the first version of our software. So we went live with that at the beginning of last year in early 2024 and did a bunch of projects in Michigan with homeowners. That was the launch of our software. One of the things I mentioned was that our long-term vision is to always work with partners who already have trust in this space. And so we have had our first launches with those partners. DTE, which is an electric utility in Michigan, is the first of those. The city of Ann Arbor is the second of those. And then we have a partnership upcoming with DLC in Pennsylvania. Our goal is to always work with these partners to serve homeowners and work with contractors in those areas as well. So those are our partnerships that are coming up.
I'm a DLC customer in Pennsylvania.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's something I should be looking for, or at least be aware of.
Absolutely. I think one of the things we do really well with our partners is try to align incentives such that we can help achieve their goals. The way that we've been thinking about it with DLC is there's a population of customers in their service territory that heat their homes with fuel oil. And so getting an electric system can improve comfort and deliver cost benefits in many ways. We also know there's a number of homeowners that don't have air conditioning at all. And so installing something like a heat pump can be good for first-time AC users. But the broader point is when we work with these partners, many times they have goals. If you're a city, you may be trying to use rebate programs to incentivize behavior for your community. If you're an electric utility, you may be trying to drive efficiency improvements in your service territory more efficiently. What we try to do is help partner with these organizations and use our platform to help them do what they want to do more efficiently. And so the earliest conversations are always trying to align, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Here's who we think we might serve, and then work at doing that together.
So are you doing anything outside of partnerships with like utilities or anything like that? Are you doing any just market rate work where homeowners come to you and you connect them with these things randomly? Or is it just in those specific areas that you're working?
Our bet is that these partners are actually the right way to serve these homeowners. A recent study by Rewiring America said that homeowners actually trust their utility most on complex energy efficiency projects. And so we want to tap into that. That said, if someone hears Pearl Edison and comes to our website, we will serve them. We will connect them to the contractors in our network. We just don't think that in the short term, we're a brand name that they're going to know or necessarily trust. And why should they? It's a tech company to a lot of people. We'd rather work with those entities that have trust already. But if people do find us, we can serve them.
Interesting. So how many contractor partners do you have? We'll say, because I'm guessing you're working mostly in North America here. You're not going into Canada or anything like that at this point. How many contractor partners do you have?
The way that I'd answer that question is we try to scale our contractor partnerships based on the partners that we're working with. And to give you an example is working with DT in Michigan, we need to serve their entire service territory. So if we're working with DT, we want to be able to serve their service territory in southeastern Michigan. And we add contractor partners to our network to do that. I'd say today in Michigan, we're working with consistently about 15 partners. But what we try to do is keep that number relatively, I'd say, small. Like I'd rather work with 15 partners multiple times a month, if not weekly, as opposed to working with 100 partners every couple months. One of the things we aim to do with our contractor partners is make sure that they can see consistent volume because we've heard from them that that's what they really value. And so I'd rather build strong partnerships where we have a working relationship over time and are doing consistent work together. And so we tend to grow the network of contractors that we work with a little more slowly than the homeowners we're serving, just to make sure that all of our partners are really seeing value by working with us.
If a contractor hears this podcast, wants to learn more, of course, pearledison.com. We'll put that link in the show notes. Would they have to wait until there's a program in their area, or is there a way to do something ad hoc?
We are asking folks to wait until there's a program in their area right now, but we're always happy to meet contractors, even if it's in a geography that we're not serving. What I would say is we kind of see building something that works for our contractor partners is one of the most important things, just because they're the ones who we'll work with on a weekly basis. If you serve a homeowner well, hopefully they don't need another system in the HVAC space for 15 years. But we want to make sure the contractors are seeing value from working with us. So even if it's just to get a little bit of feedback or tell them more about how we operate, talking to contractors all the time and getting their input is something we take very seriously.
Was there a way that you developed the quality aspects of this process? Because it sounds like you're already appreciating that because you want to get a human expert to review things, to see it on site. So you understand the limitations of doing things remotely and digitally. How did you develop the quality aspects?
I'd say what we care about in general is best practices. And so we want to do best practices as far as it comes to system design and commissioning. And we want to use all the best tools to do so. And I think that gives us the position to evolve over time. But one of the biggest influences for us was actually talking with Bryn Cooksey, who's a contractor here in the Detroit area. He very much helped us shape the early vision of the company and figure out exactly what we needed to do to deliver quality installs time and time again. And so he's one of the, I'd say, folks in building science and HVAC that we've leaned on the most as we've developed how we operate.
That's awesome. Good choice.
For sure.
I think after I kept calling Bryn on Saturdays and Sundays for weeks at a time, I think he finally realized we were serious.
Yeah. Bryn's a great guy, very, very busy and very, very smart in both areas of HVAC and home performance, which I'm excited to hear that you took a lot of input from somebody that's actually practicing in the field instead of just developing something from more or less in a vacuum that doesn't connect to the field well all the time.
Bryn's influence was huge. And like you said, you're not going to always design the right systems if you're not in the field thinking about practical installation and how that has to go. And so I'll say it again, is that we believe in being in homes and that getting experts into those homes to make decisions, gather the right information, because without it, it's hard to ensure that you're going to design a system that delivers comfort for the long term for homeowners.
When you're talking about getting experts into a home, what are you getting those experts to do in that home? What work are they doing and what information are they gathering to bring to the table with this process?
I'd say, first of all, anyone that we have in the home is BPI-certified. That's something we believe in strongly, just so they have that grounding in building science principles. But I'd characterize our home assessment as the following. The first is that we're confirming all that information that either the homeowners provided or we've pulled remotely. And so an easy example is you can get the square footage of a house from Zillow. Sometimes that information's wrong. You want to make sure that you have an accurate understanding of how big the conditioned space is in that home. So the first thing is confirming data that we've already gotten. The second thing is improving upon the assumptions that we've made in order to provide a homeowner indicative information quickly. An example of this would be, we see that the house was built in the 1970s. We've made assumptions about the building stock in that area and what the quality of insulation in the walls might be. But if a homeowner doesn't know that 10 years ago, the previous owner put the best possible insulation that you could have in the walls, it's hard to say something specific about what the heating and cooling load capacity would need to be without checking that. And so we're gathering additional information about the home that helps us do a load calc. I'd say last thing is just making sure that we have the right scope of work. I'd say in Michigan, at least, where there's a lot of forced air ducted systems, we know that you need to make ductwork modifications if you're going to install a heat pump, switching from a furnace into a heat pump. And so that's one of the things that we do is finalize that scope of work. And sometimes that means things like getting eyes on the ductwork and the modifications that might be needed if you're going to put a system in that performs well.
Yeah, I guess I'd characterize you as a startup. Is that true?
That's fair to say. We're a startup.
I know startups often do pivots when they get deep enough into the research of their original thesis, their perspective for running the business. Anything you care to talk about pivots?
Honestly, we have as much conviction today as we did when we started this business that we could build a platform that makes it easier for homeowners to make the right decision for them and improve contractor profitability by reducing the cost of customer acquisition. That hasn't changed. The biggest thing that's changed is, as opposed to us being a native brand that everyone knows, Pearl Edison, we'd much rather work through our partners. We talked about DTE or DLC or the city of Ann Arbor. They have so much inbound from homeowners and so much brand trust already that that's probably the bigger pivot for us, is that we want to work with those partners and we are actively developing software for those partners. And so we think of our three stakeholders in the business as homeowners, contractors, and our enterprise partners. And we're sitting at the middle trying to make this work for everyone. But all that said, is we continue to go deeper, especially HVAC. Is building science is such a big part of how we think about this, that we're just constantly trying to update our understanding and build better logic into software to make it easier for us to get to the right design more quickly.
And it sounds to me like there might be a real focus on homeowner or occupant comfort in with this. There's a real big component of that I'm getting that underlying feeling here, even though I don't think you've really said it out loud yet.
Comfort's paramount. We take the comfort element really seriously just because that's what I think homeowners are ultimately looking for at the end of the day. Many folks would like to pay less, but if you're not comfortable, you're going to be upset or uncomfortable more often than not. And so there's an underlying focus for us about making sure that systems will deliver comfort to homeowners and not cutting corners when it comes to that, just because it's such an important part of what we do.
That's great, because I like to think of it as if we deliver something that's comfortable and the homeowner wants to be uncomfortable, then that's their choice. But they get to make that choice for themselves rather than us making it for them.
100%. The other thing that we take really seriously is homeowner trust. If a homeowner is going to invite you to come do a home assessment, that's the first level of trust, right? But after that, they want to be advised well. And so you have to shoot them straight about the trade-offs of any decision they could possibly make. And when you are able to gain that homeowner trust, it opens up a lot of other opportunities. And so I think, if anything, we're excited about the fact that for our earliest homeowners that we've built trust on, advising them on the HVAC space, they'll come back to us and say, hey, I've been thinking about upgrading my water heater as well. What do you think? And so if you have that trust, there's a lot of other things that you can do in a home to improve the performance overall. And so our ambition is to, starting with HVAC, but also expand to other systems because they're all interrelated. And we feel like we can support those homeowners who we do have trust with, make good decisions elsewhere in the home as well.
Being a data-related company, are you all virtual or do you have physical presence? Is that important to you?
I would say most of our early team is based in Michigan. So that's our first market. But I'd say that because of our emphasis on being in person, is even if our software and engineering team is based in Michigan or based remotely, we're always going to need to have field teams that are operating in geographies where we're working. So in Michigan, we need to have folks on the ground, same in Pennsylvania, and there's a number of other markets that we're exploring partnerships. We will always be working with folks locally. And so hybrid might be the right way to put us, but I think the emphasis on being able to shake a homeowner's hand or grab lunch with a contractor is something we take really seriously.
And I noticed you did a posting, you're looking to hire.
We're looking to hire. We are actively hiring in Pennsylvania, the next market that we'll be launching with, a general manager to help make these projects happen for homeowners and ensure that things go smoothly with our network of contractors. It's an exciting role that I'd say is at the center of everything that we do. And so it's a really great opportunity if you are experienced in the home services space to get in on the ground floor of a company that is trying to grow pretty rapidly and has ambitions about how we can help the partners that we work with.
That would be like full-time. That'd be like all-consuming. It isn't something like a contractor can say, hey, I'll also...
No, it's full-time at this point. As you can imagine with the startup, is there's enough things to solve and figure out that we need everyone's full mental bandwidth if they're willing to give it.
Got it. Has there been any pleasant surprises as you've walked in this journey from 23 to now?
My favorite, I call this a happy accident, but this is, I think, a very pleasant surprise is we often find that systems that were installed 20 years ago were oversized for the home. We call it a house that has a 120,000 BTU furnace that maybe only needs a 60 or an 80. Well, because the systems are so oversized, the ductwork, even if it's a bit undersized for that system, is honestly many times the appropriate size for a smaller heat pump. And so that happy accident when you get to reduce the size of a system, put in a heat pump, but don't have to do a duct modification. That's one of the nice surprises that you come across every once in a while, is not having to do that mod just because of the way that the system was originally installed.
That's a very nice finding when you can do that for sure. I've got a question here, and I don't know if you want to answer this, but how do you get paid? Do you get paid by your utility partners? Do you get paid by the contractors that get hired, or does the homeowner pay you directly for your services?
Typically, we are free to our partners. What we get paid is a percentage of every job that goes forward. So we are contracting with the homeowner and then subcontracting to a contractor. Part of the reason we do this is because we don't want to bring the job to a contractor partner until the homeowner is signed up and the system is fully designed and ready to go. We feel like this is the only way that it saves them time. And so in many ways, like our right to get paid is just by the time that we can save a contractor by not having to do a truck roll up front or not having to market to that specific lead. And so we just see our ability to make money is really about how much time we save the contractor. So that's how we get paid on an ongoing basis. And that's where our commitment comes to serving contractors.
Does that show up like as a line item, or is there a choice on how the contractor presents it?
We're presenting it to the homeowner. Part of our commitment, like I said, was we don't want that contractor to have to get involved. And so we get the homeowner ready to go, and then contractors in our network can bid on and get assigned a job based on their availability.
Okay, so you're the funnel for the contractor for qualified homeowners with a better idea of what the contractor will encounter when they do make that first physical inspection.
Exactly.
And then when they're bidding on that, like they've got all the information that you've already gathered, maybe done a lot of work that they would normally have to go out and do for free. You've already gone and done all that work and gathered it and presented it to them.
Exactly. And so when a contractor sees a job that's ready to move forward, we've shared robust job documentation with them. This includes details like a heating and cooling load calculation, any equipment specifications, including any ratings they need to hit for rebates and incentives, a full scope of work detailed out, and a lot of pictures. And our goal is basically just to get the contractor all the information they need to feel confident that this job was designed correctly and they could go send a crew there to do it. We try to present that to them before they ever have to roll a truck. I'd say when we first started working with contractor partners, a lot of times they want to go see the job themselves before they finalize. We can make that happen. But after a few times working with us, I think our partners start to trust that we know what we're doing, and it makes it easier going forward. And so there's a little adjustment period to not be in there physically before planning out a job, but it gets better over time as they get used to working with us.
And then all the people that are actually going into the homes and gathering all this information, bringing it back or inputting it into your software, those are all employees of Pearl Edison, or are they a contractor to you?
They're employees to Pearl Edison, and so they're the homeowner's point of contact throughout the project. They're also the contractor's point of contact throughout the project. So if one of our contractor partners has a question about something, we can answer it because we were in the home and understand what that homeowner needs. And so we're trying to play that intermediary role, but I'd say that our focus on trying to get the job to a point where it's fully designed and fully contracted before our contractor partners see it is really trying to save them time so they don't have to do any upfront work that may or may not convert.
And I see from your website, you actually allow scheduling of energy audits. Is that for an area where you do have an expert or a guide available?
That's correct. When we think about homeowners, we know folks come at this from a lot of different angles. There's obviously the break fix case where someone needs emergency service. There's also cases where someone says, my house is just not performing well. I know that because I'm either uncomfortable or my bills are really high. And so what we try to do is give homeowners numerous points of entry into solving what problem they're trying to solve. And in many cases, an energy audit is a good first step, especially for folks that don't know the right way to approach whatever issue they're having in their home.
I know there must be competition too. This is an area that makes total sense. So congratulations on landing on a place that's not totally abstract. Maybe on just another tack here, sometimes language between the contractor, the homeowner, and the enterprise customer needs to be assessed, needs to be on a common ground. How do you address that topic?
It's a really good one. And to say that we have all of that figured out today would be wrong to say. But I think messaging with homeowners and contractors, we're constantly adjusting language and testing out what resonates the most. So there's a lot of feedback on that front. But with enterprise partners, the same. Even between different geographies, different states, people refer to things differently. They refer to their goals of their in-state programs a little differently, or how they think about rebates a little bit differently. And so it's a constant learning and constant evolution. But our goal is partially with software to make adjusting to what folks need in a specific region or how contractors want to talk about things. We try to make it easy to adjust so that we can move quickly over time.
Can you highlight some of the major steps in the human expert, the guide's visit? Like, what are the key things they're trying to walk away with? Do they do, for example, load calculations?
Yep.
Glad you answered that really fast.
Yeah, exactly. I would say the first and most important thing from that home visit is to be able to finalize a load calculation so that we can base our system design off of that. So that's number one. I'd say number two is identifying whether there's any additional scope of work items, such as a panel upgrade, or disqualifying things in the home, such as the presence of knob and tube wiring or asbestos that would cause us to maybe not move forward with the project right away or until something's remediated. And so two biggest things are the load calculation and then the full scope of work, including the equipment that we want to recommend. I'd also say that part of what we're trying to translate is job details that might not be as apparent, but can be make or break between how smoothly the job goes. One example is we've worked with some Spanish-speaking families in Detroit, being able to tell our contractor partner that they should send a Spanish-speaking crew if they have it, or have one of their schedulers who speak Spanish call the homeowner to schedule, can oftentimes make the difference. And so little details like that, we're also trying to collect to make sure the install goes smoothly.
Is house leakage assessment part of your load calculations then? Is that a normal thing, or do you just do that sometimes or on every one?
We do blower doors as often as we can. So that is a big part of what we do. Obviously, sometimes there's health and safety concerns that prevent you from doing that blower door, but we scope that into our assessments by default. And then if not, we'll make an assumption that's relevant for the home based on what we saw there.
But the contractor gets to do the final quote.
The contractor gets to provide their own quote for the project, but we price it before they even get to see it. So example might be a $10,000 project. We sign up with the homeowner. The homeowner has said they're ready to move forward before we've even selected a contractor to get involved. And so we take pricing risk in the sense that if our contractor partners come in above what we promised to the homeowner, then we take the hit. And vice versa. If they come in lower, then that's when we get a chance to make a little bit of money, but we take the pricing risk.
Got it. That's got to be a big relief for contractors.
Our goal, like we said, is like we see our right to make money is when we save contractors time. We haven't found a way to really, truly save them all time if we can't get the homeowner signed up and ready to move forward.
All very interesting. A lot of activity in this space, and glad to hear you got good advisors on board to make that happen. Any closing thoughts you have for our listeners, especially the contractor ones who this might seem interesting to?
If you are interested and want to reach out, we'd be happy to connect. Like I said, our goal is to be in more geographies than just the couple that we are today very soon. And so if you're interested in what we have to say, we'd love to have an intro call and make that connection, because if you can be one of our launch contractors in a new geography, it could be an awesome thing all around.
Fantastic. Well, Jake, thanks for coming on the podcast. We appreciate it. Did you reach out or did we reach out? Or was it mutual?
I reached out to connect with Eric just because I'd seen some content on LinkedIn, and then all of a sudden I got a podcast invite, which was exciting.
All right.
Bryn had reached out to me and told me about Jake, and he said, yeah, he might be reaching out to you to connect and talk. And I was like, all right, we'll do this. So I think we can ultimately put this all on Bryn Cooksy's shoulders.
Yeah.
And he's got some big shoulders, so I'm sure he'll carry that just fine.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks again, Jake. And listeners, we'll have some links in the show notes for you to follow up with to learn more about this project with Pearl Edison. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Building HVAC Science Podcast. You know, there's a lot of great trade-related resources and influencers out there, including Quality HVAC, HVAC Overtime, HVACR videos, the HVAC Grapevine, HomeDiagnosis.tv, AC Service Tech, Measure Quick, HVA Chicks, The Misfits of HVAC, HVACR School, HVAC Shop Talk, Stephen Reardon, HVAC Reefer Guy, Tool Pros, Service Business Mastery. Those are all a great collection of resources that are out there helping you to tune up and up your game. If you're in the market for tools or test instruments, you can take a look at what TrueTechTools.com offers. Full disclosure, I'm the owner of TrueTech, and the Building HVAC Science Podcast is a production of TrueTech Tools Limited. The website we have is TrueTechTools, TrueTechTools.com, and you can use the offer code HVACBS for a nice discount. I want to thank you for listening to and hopefully following us here at Building HVAC Science. If you've not subscribed, please consider doing so. Any questions or feedback, just reach out to us at marketing@TrueTechTools.com, TrueTechTools.com. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and you come back again for more podcast info from Building HVAC Science. Take care.